large tower next to the VAB is the mobile launcher being built for SLS. When completed, it will carry the massive launch vehicle on top of the crawler transporter to pad 39B. You will learn more about the launch of SLS when we get to the launch pad. Adjacent to the VAB is the Launch Control Center, the distinctively shaped 4-story building which houses the launch team. This is where the ground controllers, engineers, and launch director monitor the spacecraft and manage all the activities leading up to launch.
All right. If I can get everyone, the driver's cab on the right front and the rear left. So the driver had to go back the other way. He had to get out of one side, walk all the way around to the other side, get back in, and then drive back in the opposite direction. The crawler transporter has 8 tracks. Each track has 57 cleats. Each cleat weighs 1 ton. It moves 32 feet per minute, and it burns 1 mile to the gallon. And you're going to have a chance to get a closer look at a crawler transporter with a mobile launcher for SLS as we make our way around to the launch pad. Now what the crawler transporter did was it went underneath the mobile platform that you see coming up next. This platform here is for the shuttle era, and it weighs 9 million pounds. The crawler transporter picked it up, took it inside the vehicle assembly building, and loaded the space shuttle on top. Now with the shuttle standing straight up and the tail slid in between the 2 gravities here, the crawler transporter carried the shuttle with the payload out by crawlerway to launch pads 39A or 39B. Now as we move closer to it, you're going to have a chance to look underneath it. You're going to see 3 holes. It has 2 holes in the back and 1 hole up front. The 2 holes that's in the back was for the 2-sided rocket boosters. The hole up front was for the main engine. And when the shuttle blasted off, all the planes came down through those holes there and went inside of a plane trench. Now you got the crawler transporter that weighs 6 million pounds. You have the mobile platform that weighs 9 million pounds. And with the shuttle and the payload on top of it, it weighs between 18 to 21 million pounds. As we make our way around these vehicles, containers, and machinery, the open area that's about to come up on the right-hand side is the crawlerway. The crawlerway is the pathway that the crawler transporter takes to carry the payload out to the launch pad. It is 8 lanes wide with the grassy median in the middle. It goes down 8 feet deep and is filled with other crushed rock and asphalt. Then it's layered with between 8 to 12 inches of Alabama-Tennessee river rock. Now the purpose for the Alabama-Tennessee river rock is for 2 reasons. The first one is that it gives the crawler transporter a smooth surface to ride across. And then second, you have between 18 to 21 million pounds coming across this stone. And although this stone is being crushed, this stone does not spark. Now with the crawler transporter with the payload on top of it, it takes between 6 to 8 hours to get from the vehicle assembly building all the way out to launch pad 39B because it only moves 32 feet per minute. Now in just a moment we were coming across the crawlerway. We take our time to look from side to side, see how wide the crawlerway is, and plus you have an imaginary idea of how big the crawler transporter with the platform is because it straddles the whole area, leaving no room for anything to drive up the long side of it.
Support NASA's crew transportation is Boeing. They named their capsule the CST-100. Like SpaceX, Boeing's capsule will begin flying to the station later this decade. They will launch from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station just a few miles from here on a modified Atlas V rocket. With private industry stepping up to support low Earth orbit missions to the ISS, NASA can focus more heavily on deep space exploration. which you will learn about at Launchpad 39B.
Atlas 5, SpaceX, Delta 4, if you'd like to take a quick photo shot on the launch pads. The fixed service structure and a rotating service structure for this pad to make it more flexible for private industries to launch their different types of vehicles from here. This pad is where SLS, the Space Launch System, is going to launch from once completed. Apollo 10 launched from this pad, and the ill-fated Challenger back in 1986 also launched from this pad. The three Lightning mast towers that you see standing here over 600 feet tall, they stand taller than the vehicle assembly building, and their purpose is to provide lightning protection for the space vehicles as they sit on the launch pad, because Florida is the #2 lightning capital of the world.
See where the tracks were on this thing.
We explore to gain knowledge, to push the boundaries of possibility, and to reveal the unknown.
We seek to discover, to find answers here on Earth and in space.
Was Mars once an Earth-like planet with water and an atmosphere? What happened? Can the same thing happen here on Earth?
What about asteroids? Is there something we can do to prevent a big one from colliding with Earth?
Is an all-new heavy-lift rocket that uses a combination of proven hardware and technology to make it more affordable. We can take the best from all we've learned from building rockets and combine that with cutting-edge tooling and manufacturing technology to build the most powerful rocket in history.
You can fly to really high orbits around the moon with this rocket without requiring any other assistance. But when we add an upper stage, we'll have an even bigger capacity.
The larger evolved version of SLS can carry a habitat, larger solar arrays, additional propulsion, you name it. It's really a versatile rocket.
Astronauts beyond low Earth orbit, we need a new crew vehicle, Orion.
The Orion spacecraft is a conical shape, like Apollo was. But it's actually larger than Apollo, and is capable of taking people farther into space than ever before. It can protect a crew of 4 for up to 21 days, and carry food, air, water, supplies, all the things the crew will need. Orion is the most advanced and versatile spacecraft ever made. It uses state-of-the-art technology, materials, and design processes based on more than 50 years of research and technology development.
The first crewed flight of Orion and the Space Launch System will be a flight around the moon during Exploration Mission 2. A crew of astronauts will launch on SLS, fly several orbits around the Earth, then perform a translunar injection, which will send them on a path from Earth orbit towards the moon.
Once the crew gets near the moon,
Emergency vehicles called the M113s. On the day of launch, they had 4 of these vehicles staged around the outer perimeter of the launch pad. 3 was filled with fire personnel, and the 4th one was empty, staged close to the space vehicle. So if the astronauts had an emergency and needed to get away quick, that would have been their way of escape, but they never had to use it. To your left is the clean room with the catwalk attached to it. The clean room is where the astronauts went inside of with a bed of launch and did their final fittings of their moon suits. And once everything was fitted perfectly, they walked across the catwalk and loaded up inside the space vehicle. As we make our way through this traffic light, if you look down to your right, the big building with the picture on the wall down here is one of 3 buildings on the property owned by Boeing. And that picture there is the picture of the Starliner capsule that's being assembled inside that building as we speak. And once the Starliner capsule is completed, they're going to take it and attach it to a modified Atlas 5 rocket, and then launch it to Launch Pad 41 from over in Canaveral. As we make our way ahead closer to these center traffic lights, if you look to your right, you're going to see those 2 white buildings with blue trim and blue doors. Those 2 buildings there are also owned by Boeing, and those are the orbital processing facilities. When Space Builder came back from outer space, it was picked up and taken inside the vehicle assembly building. Once the orbiter was inside of there, they cleaned them up. Then once Space Builder was inside the VAB, they pulled the orbiters off and then placed them inside these two buildings here. Then once the orbiters were inside of here, they cleaned them up, recalibrated them, they took them back inside the vehicle assembly building, and then sent them back onto the Space Builder that came off of, and then the Space Builder was held inside the VAB until it was time for the next launch. Now we're making our way to the Apollo 5 Center. Remember to keep your eyes open on the water trenches on the right and left side of the road, because you never know when or where you may see alligator. Sometimes it may get a couple of baby alligators inside these water trenches. Sometimes it may get a 2 to 4 foot size gator inside these water trenches. Now every now and then we may get a catch a 6 foot plus gator coming from the left side of the road, crossing over to the right side of the road to make its way up the stream to get to an area that we call Alligator Alley. Inside the Alligator Alley, we have alligators in here at one time. Sometimes we have manatees in here at one time. Sometimes we may get them both in here together, and then sometimes we may not have anything at all, not even a bird. And looking from here, we don't have that many birds in here at all.
Little fish. Carp.
All right.
The very consoles we sat at when men first took off to fly to the moon. The tragedy of Apollo 1 had put us a year and a half behind. We were making up for it in one big leap, and we were doing it with a rocket that no man had ever flown before. What really happened? Mankind is about to leave his planet behind and journey to another. It is one of those rare moments when history is not being made, destiny is being embraced.
Attention all personnel, the countdown clock will start on my mark at T-minus 3 minutes. 3, 2, 1, 1.
This is launch control, T-minus 3 minutes and counting. We've completed our communications checks with the Apollo 8 astronauts in the cabin, and the communications are go. During this period, once we do get the firing command, the various tanks within the 3 stages of the Saturn V launch vehicle begin to pressurize. We have firing command. The firing command is in. We are on automatic sequence. T-minus 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Our status board indicates that all aspects are ready. Instrument unit is ready. Spacecraft ready. Final check of the emergency detection system. That ready light also on. First stage preparations are completed.
Okay.
We're on. Ready to go to Cronkite. Stand by, Walter. Okay, you're on.
All systems go. T-minus
45 seconds and counting. First stage, the oxygen tank has been pressurized, and the pressure is still building up. Coming up on 90 seconds, mark T-minus 90 seconds and counting. The Apollo 8 crew standing by, spacecraft commander Frank Warner, General Bill Andrews. We now report that the liquid hydrogen tank in the third stage is pressurized. 1 minute 15 seconds. All third stage propellants pressurized at this time as we come up on the 60-second mark on the flight to the moon. T-minus 60 seconds and counting. The vehicle now is completely pressurized. We're coming on our power transfer shortly. We have the power transfer. We're now on the flight batteries within the launch vehicle.
successfully orbited the moon, and the astronauts returned safely to the Earth. I know. I'm Jim Lovell, and I was one of the crew of this spacecraft, Apollo 8. We were the first men to see the surface of the moon from just a few miles away. But it was the hundreds of thousands of men and women who worked with that team, and the millions of people who supported the mission that really made it possible. That way, I guess, we all went to the moon. Now, on the other side of those doors, you'll find an actual Saturn V moon rocket. It's still the most powerful, the most complex machine ever built. And I guess it's the only one that can take you to another planet. I actually got to fly one on a second flight to the moon called Apollo 13. But that's another story.
Let's go around this side. I think you can get more picture of it. Yeah, we are. Yeah. Step out there. Let me get a picture of it.